NASCAR put details about torque sensors into the rulebook. What exactly does that mean? And let's make some bold predictions for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season, and I want to hear yours as well. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. No PSAs today. Happy to see some positive feedback in the comments about yesterday's video. If you haven't watched it, definitely go watch it. But yeah, always nice to see some positive comments in there. Before we get into what we want to talk about today, we do have cars on track tomorrow, Wednesday, February 12th. Had to look down at the computer to see what date it was, but we have Cup Series practice in the morning at 10 a.m. on FS1, Cup Series qualifying on Fox at 8 p.m. on Wednesday night. Really excited for that. Entry list came out on Monday as well. No wild, changes in there. I had heard over the weekend that Christian Rose would not be in that Nice truck for Daytona, at least. That was confirmed on Monday as well. Bailey Curry will be in there driving that truck. Interestingly enough, on the Truck Series entry list, the 98 and the 88 from ThorSport have their drivers listed as TBA. Except we know that Ty Majeski and Matt Crafton are both going to be in those trucks. Matt Crafton was officially announced by ThorSport on Monday. Just weird timing on that. We know that those guys are always going to be in there. Matt Crafton being in that 88 truck, you can set your watch to it. You know that it's always going to happen. There's a Menards 88 truck on track. It's going to be Matt Crafton. And he's probably not going to do anything spectacular all season, but we know he's going to be in that truck and probably pissed off at the young kids in the series. But getting into what we actually want to talk about, though, on Tuesday, I guess it was, NASCAR put into the rulebook details about torque sensors. And you're probably wondering, why does this even matter, Matt? Which is a fair point, because it is kind of a nerdy thing to talk about. It is something that doesn't necessarily excite people, but it does probably have big ramifications for the future of the sport. So Bozy did a great thread of this on Twitter. I urge all of you to go read through his thread, read his article that he posted on motorsport.com about it. He's got great diagrams and visuals up there as well. But the torque sensor is essentially measuring the output of power from these vehicles. We knew that this was happening. They did it last year at Richmond with Martin Truex Jr. in that number 19 car. Essentially what it is, it kind of looks like a collar, and it mounts to the drive shaft to the axle, and then it measures the output of power, torque coming from those vehicles. And it gives NASCAR a baseline. But why do they want that baseline? Because there's a very real possibility in the future that we will have a multiple engine formula NASCAR Cup Series, meaning that we could have V8 naturally aspirated vehicles. We could have dual overhead cam V6s with turbos or whatever else you want to have, whatever type of engine formula you want to have. And you want to be able to have those be sort of balanced. Think of IMSA. IMSA uses these torque sensors. IMSA has balance of power. IMSA is able to keep all of their manufacturers in all of their classes within this box, right? Some might be stronger here, some might be stronger here, there, but at the end of the day, their lap times are all going to be very, very similar. The output of power from these vehicles going to be very, very similar as well. Now, there's, of course, a lot of things that go into balance of performance and not necessarily all of it's engine related. But this torque sensor, like I said, essentially mounts to either the drive shaft or the axle, and it spins up like this magnetic field, and then that message is sent back to the ECU. And essentially what can be done here is that engine maps can be controlled from that ECU, and essentially think of it as like an electronic tapered spacer. That's how Bozy described it, and that's a perfect description of it, because that's what it is, essentially. You have these limitations put on these vehicles based off of the engine mapping to try to keep them all within, a certain parameter. Now, is this something that's going to happen in 2025? No, it's not. Teams aren't even required to own these parts yet. This is something that NASCAR has been doing at random and will likely continue to do this year, as well as they try to get an understanding for sort of where the line is for this, where they would sort of like to have, a potential new OEM or new engine formula fit within that box. Now, obviously, when we talk about new OEMs, the biggest holdup, and Steve Phelps has talked about this too, the president of NASCAR, is the fact that these guys don't build V8s. A lot of these teams, or a lot of these car companies don't, or at least not in the form that, NASCAR would want. Honda does not make a pushrod V8 for the road cars or for anything that they manufacture automotively, for road cars at least. Kia doesn't either. Neither does Hyundai or anything like that. So when you look at it, they're not going to want to come in and build a V8, power unit engine, just because it doesn't make sense for them to do that. There's no marketing in that. There's no sense of that. There's no ROI. So if they can come in and, introduce one of their, V6 engine formulas, whether that be twin turbo, something like that, that's a lot more appealing. Honda already does that with their Acura program and IMSA. They already do that in IndyCar as well. The other manufacturers are involved in different other series, but not necessarily any of the big ones here in the United States. Obviously, they're in whatever they call it now, the Pilot Challenge Series or Michelin Challenge Series or whatever the undercard to IMSA is. We know that Hyundai is in there. So, hey, maybe there's an opportunity, but these torque sensors aren't going away. That is something that's very much going to be on these cars going forward. Not all of them. Like I said, teams aren't required to have them, but this is something that NASCAR has been, doing over the last year and will continue to do so as they sort of look for that baseline of power that they're looking for out of these cars and for, potential use in the future. All right, let's move into the bold predictions for 2025. I want to hear yours because obviously they did this on the Happy Harvick podcast or whatever they refer to that television show as. And I'll be honest, the bold takes, other than Bob's, really weren't that bold. Bob Pockrass's bold take was that Connor Zilisch is going to win a NASCAR Cup Series race this year. And while it's bold, I'm going to ride with Bob on this one. I think it's going to happen. I think that he will at least contend to win a NASCAR Cup Series race this season. Caitlin Vinci said that SVG would win 2 races this year. It's bold because he hasn't won 2 races in a year before, but I think that it's pretty realistic. I know Denny kind of shot that down on his podcast, and he doesn't think that's going to happen. I think it will. I think that SVG wins 2 races this year in 2025. And then Harvick's had to do with Bell and Larson and their rivalry, which isn't a bold take at all. So I was flying back from the Break Hard West headquarters over the weekend, and I thought about some of the different things that I think could possibly be bold takes. And I'm going to go through them real quick. I want you to leave your bold takes in the comments below. I'll do a silly season sort of prediction getting into the weekend. Probably have that posted on Thursday, maybe. I'm not going to talk about anything silly season in these bold predictions. I'll do silly season stuff coming up. I didn't do very well last year, so we'll see how all of it goes this year. I'm going to run some things by some people first. But bold prediction wise, obviously Connor Zilisch winning a cup race. Yep, I think that's, could happen, has a decent chance of happening. SVG winning 2 races. Yep, I think that could possibly happen as well. The boldest take I have, Joey Logano going winless in 2025. Now, hear me out. Joey Logano, we know, performs really well in even-numbered years. 2025, not an even-numbered year. If you didn't pay attention in school, now you know. 5, not even, not at all, unfortunately. So, I think that this is a real possibility because before the playoffs last year, Joey Logano's win that got him into the playoffs came in Nashville, and that was a 5-overtime fiasco, and he nearly lost out to Zane Smith. Zane could have completely rewritten the NASCAR record books, but just missed out by about a car length of beating Joey Logano to that win. I think there's a chance Joey doesn't get it done. Obviously, Atlanta's on the schedule, and Joey's been an absolute monster there since they turned that into a super speedway. But his other wins, I think that if you don't give him momentum, I'm just not sure. I think that there's a real possibility that it happens. Now, I say this, he's probably going to win the Daytona 500 or Atlanta in the second week, but I don't think it's the craziest prediction, but it certainly is bold. Another bold prediction. Ty Gibbs does not win before race 100. His 100 start comes up, and I believe the end of April, early May. I didn't fact check myself on that one, but I remember the last time I looked it up, it was in that time frame. Obviously, we've seen a number of drivers get their first win right around that 100 race mark. Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, William Byron, Harrison Burton, and others have all done it in that same time frame. I'm just not sure Ty gets it done. The Cup Series and the level of competition the Cup Series certainly, I think, has been more than he expected. And for him, hasn't worked out so well so far. He has led laps. He has been a guy that has shown speed that is capable of winning races. Hasn't closed the deal yet, though. The second half of races always seem to fall apart for him. I just don't think he gets it done before even the halfway break of this season. Carson Hocevar winning a race. Is that bold? I don't know. I think that he definitely has shown speed. If he has the maturity level and kind of keeps himself level-headed, doesn't right hook guys, doesn't throw a temper tantrum, doesn't try to drive through people like he did at Martinsville in the fall, I think he has a real opportunity to do that. Spire has shown speed. Spire has a better relationship or a stronger relationship with Hendrick this year. Carson Hocevar is very talented. We know that. I think that that is a team that could possibly get their first win, and he could get his first win as well. I'm really high on the Front Row Motorsport driver lineup for this year. I think that Todd Gilliland, Zane Smith, and Noah Gragson are all potential stars of the sport, and they are all potential race winners in the NASCAR Cup Series, or future race winners, not even potential. I think they all will win in the NASCAR Cup Series. And my bold prediction for that team this year, 2 of those 3 drivers win races. I think Todd Gilliland gets it done, and I think Noah finds his way to victory lane as well, but I wouldn't be shocked if, Zane is the other one that wins over at that team as well. They're very strong on super speedways, fully expect them to be contenders this year on all 6 of those racetracks, and at other times, we could see them show up with some random speed at other places. We know they have a strong road course program as well. Those 3 drivers aren't necessarily the strongest road course racers. However, Todd and Zane have both won in the Truck Series on a road course. So we'll see if it plays out, but hey, it's a bold take. And then I have Kyle Larson winning 3 of the 4 Crown Jewel races this year. I don't think he wins the Daytona 500. We know he's incredibly strong at the Coke 600. Justin Allgaier drove that car up to a 13th place finish. Larson in that car probably gets him up there in the contention if that race goes, the full 600 miles. He was absolutely, he was incredibly good last year at the Brickyard 400, won that race, and he's always good at Darlington as well. And last year looked like he was going to be in contention to win that race until Chase Briscoe just came and slapped him down on the table and went ahead and won that race. So I think there's a real possibility that Larson gets that done. And then another one that I just kind of threw out there, we'll see Daniel Ricciardo make a NASCAR Cup Series start this year. Obviously, the Trackhouse number 91 car is the one that makes the most sense there, but who knows? He could show up in anything, especially with this new open exemption provisional that NASCAR has rolled out. It makes it a lot easier for him to show up to a race knowing that he is guaranteed a starting spot. So let me know in the comments what you think about the torque sensors, what your bold takes are. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok at BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at BreakHardBlog.